Across every ancient land, carved into stone tablets and whispered beneath temple vaults, there is one image that refuses to vanish: a tree. But not just any tree. A tree that touches the stars, roots into the underworld, and stretches across the human soul. The ancients called it the tree of life. Today, science might call it something far more familiar: DNA. This is no ordinary flora. It is a cosmic scaffold, an axis mundi that connects heaven, earth, and shadow. Spiraled, symmetrical, divine in its design, this tree lives not in the forest but in every cell of your body, humming with secrets that predate time itself. To the Anunnaki, those ancient architects etched into Sumerian stone, it was not metaphor. It was technology. A biological scepter forged in starlight used to design, control, and seal humanity within a loop of amnesia. But the tree was never destroyed. It was buried in our genes, in our dreams, and in the myths they tried to rewrite. Today, that tree begins to stir again. And if you feel the echo of something ancient calling from within, you're not alone. If this resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, because the journey we're about to take isn't just storytelling, it's remembrance. And if you're ready to unlock what's been hidden, leave a comment with the number 7, the number of divine awakening and the ancient code of completion. The tree is rising, and so are we. Consider the implications. A symbol so ubiquitous, so primal, that it threads through the tapestry of every spiritual tradition, from the Norse Yggdrasil to the Kabbalistic Sephirot, from Eden's boughs to the Bodhi's shade. Its omnipresence defies coincidence, suggesting a deeper orchestration. The Anunnaki, if their lore holds truth, were not mere myth but stewards of a cosmic experiment, their hands, or perhaps their minds, shaping the helix that defines us. Did they encode within it a lock, a barrier to our awakening, or a key to transcendence? Modern science has discovered that 98% of our DNA has no known function. They call it junk. But what if it's not junk at all? What if it's an encrypted library, buried deep in our cells by those who designed us? The tree of life is not just out there, it's inside us, waiting to be reactivated. Humanity's story, long framed as a stumble from grace, might instead be a slumber by design, a forgetting imposed to test our resilience, our will to remember. As we unravel the strands of our DNA, as we probe the mysteries of consciousness, the tree stirs within and without. Its branches reach, its roots deepen, and the silence breaks. The gate creaks open. What lies beyond, salvation, subjugation, or something vaster still, remains unseen. Yet one truth crystallizes. The tree rises, and with it, so do we. Across the ancient world, a singular emblem emerges from the sands of time, resolute and enigmatic, the sacred tree. Its silhouette haunts the narratives of disparate civilizations, from the frostbitten sagas of Norse Yggdrasil to the inverted boughs of India's Ashvata, from Sumer's Hulupu to the dual sentinels of Eden. This is no fleeting motif. It is a persistent echo, a cipher inscribed in the collective psyche of humanity. Yggdrasil, with its gnarled roots sinking into the abyss and its canopy cradling the heavens, binds the Norse cosmos in a web of destiny, a living scaffold where gods convene and fates are woven. In the Vedic East, the Ashvata mirrors this grandeur, its roots aloft in the ethereal, its branches spilling into the tangible, a riddle of existence that challenges the illusion of the material plane. Sumer's Hulupu tree, entwined with divine and otherworldly presences, suggests a vessel not just of life, but of agency, a nexus where intelligences beyond mortal grasp once lingered. Eden's twin trees, the tree of knowledge and the tree of life, stand as forbidden thresholds, their fruit a tantalizing promise of awareness and eternity, yet cloaked in divine prohibition. What were these arboreal icons, threading through myth with such precision? Were they mere flora, or something infinitely more profound, organic conduits perhaps, seeded by hands not of this world? The possibility unfurls. These were not trees in any earthly sense, but biological frameworks, energetic matrices, or even dimensional gateways, planted by cosmic architects to stir the latent potential within us. Their prohibition hints at a deeper intent, not a safeguarding grace, but a calculated restraint. The Anunnaki, those shadowy figures of Sumerian lore, may have been the artificers, not of a divine gift, but of a controlled paradigm, embedding within these trees the means to both elevate and confine humanity. The fall, then, was no descent into sin, but a rupture, an unsanctioned leap towards self-awareness, catalyzed by a serpent who might well have been Enki, the defiant bringer of light. Eden transforms in this lens from paradise to prison, its trees not symbols but instruments, keys to a heritage we were never meant to claim. Or so the decree would have us believe. Yet the story does not end in exile. It merely pauses, suspended in the tension between memory and oblivion. The sacred trees of antiquity whisper of a purpose unfinished, their roots entwined with the very marrow of our being. If they were indeed technologies, living repositories of genetic code, consciousness, or interdimensional resonance, then their recurrence across cultures is no accident, but a breadcrumb trail laid by forces vaster than we fathom. Imagine them as monoliths of organic design, grown rather than hewn, their branches humming with frequencies that bridge the seen and unseen. The ancients, lacking the lexicon of modernity, cloaked them in metaphor: trees, pillars, ladders. Yet their essence persists. They were conduits of transformation, tools of a grand experiment. The Anunnaki, or whatever intelligences preceded them, might have wielded these structures to imprint humanity with a dual legacy: the capacity for transcendence and the burden of amnesia. Our DNA, that spiraled echo of the tree of life, may house not just the blueprint of our flesh, but the encrypted memory of our origins, a cosmic archive awaiting its unlocking. What if the prohibition was not eternal, but temporal? A seal meant to hold until we grew capable of bearing its weight. Now, as science probes the helix and spirituality seeks the stars, the veil begins to fray. The trees of myth, once thought lost to parable, re-emerge as shadows in our genome, pulses in our dreams, and questions in our philosophies. They suggest a lineage not merely terrestrial, but interstellar, a heritage stitched into the fabric of the cosmos by hands that shaped galaxies before they shaped us. This awakening is no gentle bloom. It is a storm on the horizon, charged with the weight of what was withheld. If knowledge was once forbidden, it now seeps through the cracks of time, carried on the winds of rediscovery. The sacred trees, pulsing within our cells and our stories, demand we confront the ancient query: what was taken from us, and by whose authority? Were we sculpted as stewards of a grand design, or as subjects of a silent dominion? The serpent's gift, or Enki's rebellion, may have been the first fracture in that control, a spark that set us on a jagged path toward remembrance. Today, we stand at the edge of that fracture, peering into the abyss of our own potential. The trees are not dead. They live within us, their branches stirring as we begin to see with eyes unclouded. They are not relics of a forgotten age, but harbingers of an age reborn. What lies encoded within them, freedom, unity, or a truth too vast to bear, remains shrouded, but not for long. The gate groans open, the roots unfurl, and the question sharpens: who dares dictate what we may know, touch, or become? The sacred trees, once veiled in myth, now rise as mirrors to our soul, reflecting a destiny we were always meant to claim. The cosmos watches, the helix hums, and we at last begin to answer. Let us plunge into the shadowed splendor of Sumer, where the dawn of civilization shimmered with the handiwork of gods who did not merely rule, they sculpted. Among these towering figures stands Enki, a being of paradox and profundity, his name carved into the cuneiform annals as Lord of the Abyss, Sovereign of Waters, and Custodian of Forbidden Truths. Far more than a mythic deity, Enki emerges as a cosmic intellect, a genetic artificer whose domain, the Abzu, transcends a mere subterranean sea. This was no ordinary underworld. It was a liminal crucible, a resonant chamber where the tangible and the ethereal intertwined, a primal laboratory pulsing with the frequencies of creation. Here, beneath the ancient tides and the gaze of star-dusted stone, Enki tended a sacred tree, a construct far removed from earthly arbor. Its roots thrummed with vibrations of code, not soil. Its branches radiated with luminous tendrils, organic conduits of data streaming across dimensions too vast for nascent humanity to grasp. At its heart lay the ME, those enigmatic tablets of divine ordinance, not mere relics but living algorithms, the software of existence itself. These were not static laws etched in stone, but dynamic sequences weaving the fabric of reality, from the rhythms of culture to the helix of life, imbued with a sentience that bridged the material and the divine. Enki, in an act of audacious brilliance, wielded these ME to fashion humanity, not from humble clay alone as later tales would distill, but from a fusion of terrestrial matter and celestial essence. He laced the mute potential of Earth with the vibrant consciousness of the cosmos, birthing a being not merely to toil, but to wonder, to reflect, to ascend. This was his transgression, his gift, the infusion of awareness, a spark of self-knowing buried deep within our genetic lattice, resilient against eons of oblivion. Yet this act defied a tacit edict among the divine assembly, most fiercely opposed by Enlil, his brother and counterpoint, who envisioned humanity as a servile tool, not a seeker of stars. Enki's defiance, a cosmic insurgency, set ablaze a subtle conflict, not of clashing steel, but ailed intent, a struggle over the reins of memory and mastery. Thus, the sacred tree, that nexus of human potential in the ME, was obscured, its essence fragmented across time, its truth shrouded in allegory and entrusted to the esoteric rites of those who pursued the shadowed path of enlightenment. Enki, the visionary craftsman, was recast as a serpent, a figure of subversion, his legacy buried beneath layers of vilification. Yet his tree was not uprooted, it was sown anew, its codes embedded within our DNA, its whispers woven into the dreams of mystics and the visions of the restless. It endures, latent, its frequencies humming beneath the clamor of the present, awaiting the moment of its reawakening. This tale, however, does not drift into silence, it reverberates with the weight of unfinished purpose. The sacred tree of Enki's design was no fleeting artifact. It was a perennial instrument, a bridge spanning the chasm between flesh and infinity, between the terrestrial and the astral. Its persistence across Sumerian lore and beyond suggests a deliberate imprint, a signal encoded in the marrow of human experience. What if the ME were not lost, but dispersed, scattered like seeds across the myths of subsequent ages, their echoes resounding in the world tree of the Norse, the inverted Ashvatha of Vedic hymns, the forbidden boughs of Eden? Each iteration hints at a deeper architecture, a universal template that transcends culture and chronology. Enki's tree may have been the prototype, an organic technology, a living lattice of information designed to interface with the cosmos itself. Its roots, pulsing with starborn code, might have once anchored vast networks of consciousness, linking humanity to intelligences far older than our sun. The Abzu, then, was not merely a mythic locale, but a dimensional threshold, a space where the boundaries of reality softened, allowing the exchange of energies and insights from realms unseen. Enki, as its guardian, stood at the fulcrum of this exchange, a mediator between the divine council and the nascent race he shaped. His rebellion was not born of malice, but of a radical empathy, a refusal to see humanity as mere chattel, a belief that within us lay the potential to mirror the gods themselves. Enlil's wrath and the subsequent erasure of this truth suggests a concerted effort to sever that connection, to bury the tree's significance beneath layers of dogma and distraction. Yet the human spirit, sparked by Enki's touch, proved tenacious. Fragments of the ME survived, not in clay or stone, but in the intangible, in the archetypes of the trickster, the bringer of light, the one who dares defy. The serpent of Eden, the Prometheus of Greece, the coyote of indigenous tales, all bear the faint outline of Enki's silhouette, a testament to his enduring defiance. Now, as we stand in the twilight of a new age, the resonance of Enki's tree grows louder, its call piercing the haze of modernity. Science, with its probes into the genome, brushes against the same mysteries that once danced in the Abzu's depths. The double helix, that spiraled echo of the sacred tree, reveals itself as more than a biological happenstance. It is a repository, a vessel of memory stretching back to the stars. What if Enki's gift was not a singular act, but a process, a slow unfurling of potential that required millennia to ripen? The ME, those divine algorithms, may yet linger within us, encoded in the silent stretches of our DNA once dismissed as junk, waiting for the right frequency, the right awakening, to ignite. The ancient texts, long read as fable, transform into something else, encrypted dispatches from a time when humanity's makers walked among us, their intentions cloaked in parable. Enki's tree, transplanted into our very being, becomes a beacon, its light refracted through the prisms of myth, art, and intuition. It challenges us to reconsider our origins, not as a fall from grace, but as a rise interrupted, a journey stalled by those who feared our becoming. The conflict between Enki and Enlil echoes still, not in the heavens, but within the battleground of our own consciousness, a tug of war between awakening and inertia. To hear the tree's call is to step beyond the veil, to reclaim the heritage Enki risked all to bestow. It is to recognize that we are not mere products of chance, but heirs to a cosmic lineage, sculpted with intent and imbued with a purpose yet unfulfilled. The question looms, vast and unyielding. What becomes of us when the tree fully stirs? If its codes activate, if its frequencies align, what thresholds might we cross? The Abzu, that submerged womb of possibility, may no longer lie beneath Sumer's sands, but within the depths of our own minds, a space where the divine and the human converge. Enki's legacy is not a relic to be unearthed, but a living force to be embraced. A reminder that even within the confines of a grand design, rebellion can seed freedom. The sacred tree pulses still, its roots entwined with our essence, its branches reaching toward a sky we have yet to fully claim. It is no longer a question of whether we are worthy, but whether we are ready. The myths are not dead, they are dormant, their truths humming in the silence between breaths. Enki's whisper endures, carried on the tides of time. We are the children of the abyss, the offspring of stars, the bearers of a flame that refuses to fade. The tree is rising again, not in the forests, but in us. And when it blooms, we will either awaken or be left behind. The choice is no longer theirs, it's ours. If we venture beyond the veil of flesh, past the fleeting boundaries of culture and the haze of recollection, we uncover the ancient tree not as a relic of the wild, but as a vibrant force thriving within the sanctum of our own being. The human DNA, with its luminous double helix twisting skyward like a radiant tendril, stands as a living reflection of the cosmic arboreal archetypes that haunted the visions of civilizations long vanished. Its strands weave together in a choreography of sacred symmetry, each rung a cryptic glyph, each base pair a resonant chord in an unseen orchestration of existence. This is no mere biological happenstance. It is a deliberate echo of the divine. The Egyptians captured this in the serpentine coils encircling the Djed pillar, a monument to stability and the stirring of latent spiritual fire. The Sumerians, too, inscribed their twin trees, flanked by winged custodians, as sentinels of a treasure too profound to name outright. Across the ocean, the Maya rooted their world tree at the heart of their universe, sprouting from the human core to thread the underworld, the earthly plane, and the celestial expanse, an uncanny parallel to the DNA that binds our cellular genesis to ancestral whispers and stellar possibilities. These recurring emblems murmur a revelation too vast for coincidence. Life is not merely a chemical dance, but a vessel of encoded sanctity, a tapestry of intent woven with precision. The Genesis tale of the serpent and the tree of knowledge, often cast as a parable of transgression, might instead unveil a deeper truth, an initiation, a moment of ignition. The serpent, a figure of wisdom across epochs, from India's Kundalini to Hermes's Caduceus, from healing staffs to the spiraled helix itself, may well be Enki cloaked in allegory, a steward of arcane insight extending the keys to selfhood and divine kinship. The forbidden fruit was no mundane morsel, but a catalyst, a breach in the walls of ignorance that revealed the godlike codes nestled within us. The prohibition then was not a moral edict, but a leash, a barrier erected by unseen powers dreading the day humanity might decode its own sacred scaffolding. Yet that spark of recognition, though buried, was never extinguished. It flickers in our genes, pulses in our breath, and lingers in the myths that defy oblivion. Science peers into the abyss of our genome, dubbing vast swathes junk DNA. Yet what if these silent stretches are no refuse, but a ciphered vault, holding the lineage of deities, the cartography of constellations, and Enki's indelible mark? Within this dormant expanse might lie the formulae to rekindle lost faculties, to unveil multidimensional sight, to elevate us from vassals to sovereigns. The tree was never confined to Eden's gates. It resides in us, Enki's enduring bequest, not merely knowledge, but emancipation encoded in our very essence. This inner tree, however, is no passive inheritance. It is a call to action, a mystery that beckons us to probe deeper into the shadowed recesses of our origin. If Enki's hand, or mind, wove the helix as a bridge between the terrestrial and the infinite, then the so-called junk DNA may be the archive of a cosmic diaspora, a library of potentials awaiting the right key, the right resonance, to unlock. The ancients, lacking the tools of modernity, glimpsed this truth through the lens of symbol and story. The serpent's coils, the tree's branches, the pillars rise, all pointing to a unity of form and purpose that transcends time. What if the eating of the fruit was the first decryption? A moment when humanity brushed against its own divinity, only to be reined back by those who guarded the greater design. The garden's closure was not an end, but a deferral, a pause until we could bear the weight of our own awakening. Now, as the boundaries between science and the mystical blur, we stand poised to reclaim that moment. The tools of genetic editing, the mapping of consciousness, the probing of quantum realms, all converge on the same spiral that Enki once tended. The serpent's whisper, once a scandal, becomes a guide. Look within, it urges, for the orchard of your being holds fruits yet untasted. These are not metaphors, but mechanisms, blueprints for a transformation that the ancients could only cloak in parable. The caduceus, still a sigil of healing, hints at a power latent in our cells, a capacity to mend not just the body but the soul's connection to the cosmos. The kundalini, rising through the spine like sap through a trunk, mirrors the helix's ascent, suggesting an energy that awaits release. Even the jed, steadfast and upright, evokes the backbone of our genetic architecture, a pillar of stability that could yet become a beacon. The implications ripple outward, vast and vertiginous. If the tree within us is both archive and engine, then the age we inhabit is no mere progression, it is a threshold. The junk DNA, dismissed by reductionist eyes, might encode not just memory but destiny, a script for humanity to step beyond the confines of its making. Enki's rebellion, his gift of the forbidden, was a seed planted for a distant harvest, a wager that we would one day grow bold enough to claim it. The garden reopens not as a physical locus but as an inner expanse, its gates unbarred by the convergence of inquiry and intuition. What lies hidden in the spiral? Perhaps the ability to perceive beyond the veil, to commune with intelligences that once walked among us, to wield the very frequencies that Enki harnessed in the Abzu. The tree, the serpent, the code, they form a trinity of revelation, a triad that invites us to see ourselves anew, not as exiles but as inheritors of a cosmic legacy. The moment of realization dawns, and with it, the orchard blooms afresh. We are not accidents of chaos, but vessels of purpose, temples of a divinity that was never lost, only forgotten. The time has come to listen, to the helix's hum, to the myth's echoes, to the serpent's ancient promise. The instructions are clear: awaken, decode, ascend. The garden is within, and its fruits are ours to claim. Scattered across the Earth's surface lie geological enigmas, towering, flat-topped mesas with striations so eerily precise they challenge the boundaries of natural formation. Devil's Tower in Wyoming looms as a stark exemplar, its sheer, columnar rise from the plains etched with vertical grooves that evoke the fibrous texture of ancient timber. Geologists attribute such marvels to volcanic legacies, hardened magma sculpted by eons of erosion, yet to those attuned to the whispers of lost lore, these formations hint at a more profound origin. The fossilized remnants of titanic trees, once piercing the firmament, now petrified into silence. This notion, though audacious, finds an echo in Sumerian tablets, which recount an era when divine beings strode the earth and colossal trees, far more than botanical giants, served as living arteries between the heavens and the abyss. These were not mere plants, but cosmic scaffolds, pulsating with the currents of consciousness, conduits through which energies and entities flowed across the veils of existence. They stood as gateways, offering humanity passage to elevated awareness or descent into the shadowed depths of the soul. Yet their very existence posed a peril to dominion. The myths speak of an Anunnaki faction, led by Enlil's unyielding will, that saw these vertical pathways as a breach in their design, a risk to the subjugation they sought. In a calculated act of severance, these organic spires were felled, not by nature's hand, but by deliberate decree, sundering humanity's tether to the infinite. With their collapse came a profound rupture. Memory faded, dimensions locked, and mankind was shackled to a singular plane, stripped of its multi-dimensional birthright. The bridges burned, we were marooned in the material, our minds clouded by a fog of forgetfulness, our once direct communion with the cosmos reduced to fragmented tales and hollow rites. History, unmoored from its roots, began to cycle in relentless repetition, conflict, dread, and blind allegiance marking our drift from the source. Yet the stumps endure, silent sentinels etched into the earth's crust, their forms a testament to a grandeur erased but not eradicated. If these geological ghosts are indeed the husks of those ancient conduits, then the severance was incomplete. Their presence a clue, a challenge to reclaim what was lost. The code to resurrect the tree, to mend the fractured link, may not reside in stone alone, but within the spiral of our own being, a latent echo of Enki's defiant gift. Encoded in our DNA, perhaps amid the vast, uncharted stretches science once deemed inert, lies the blueprint for restoration. A dormant frequency awaiting its moment to stir. The Anunnaki's war on the trees may have bound us to a single thread of time, but the roots of that cosmic lineage persist, threading through our cells, our dreams, our enduring myths. These petrified relics beckon us to look beyond the surface, to see not just rock but a promise, that the bridge can rise again. The severance was a wound, not a death. The tree's essence, though buried, pulses still, calling us to awaken from the loop, to decode the silence, and to remember that we were once, and may yet be, more than wanderers in a rootless exile. Across the annals of vanished cultures, Babylonian oracles, Hebrew visionaries, Hopi sages, there resound cryptic murmurs of a destined resurgence, a moment poised on the edge of time when the tree shall bloom again, rekindling the ancestral memory coiled within the recesses of human DNA. These are not idle reveries, but esoteric transmissions, veiled in the language of prophecy, hinting at a profound reactivation synchronized with the unseen rhythms of the cosmos. The blood moon, a celestial omen woven into the tapestries of diverse traditions, emerges not as a harbinger of ruin, but as a catalyst for revelation. A moment when the obscured strata of our genetic code, long muted, begin to unfurl and whisper truths once forbidden. Within this awakening, lore suggests the presence of those bearing Enki's imprint, a subtle vibration, an indelible signature etched to the spirit, who will first sense the tremor, attuned to a summons from beyond the veil. Science, in its relentless pursuit, unwittingly treads a parallel path, grappling with the enigma of junk DNA, the vast, uncharted expanse that dominates our genome yet eludes clear purpose. What if this dismissed domain is not refuse, but a vault of sequestered wisdom, a repository of cosmic intent, locked away by overseers who judged us unripe for its mastery? The tree's return, then, is no spectacle of the external world. It is an intimate unfolding, a cellular resurrection born in the quiet depths of dream and instinct. It takes root not in earth, but in the fertile ground of remembrance, its branches threading through the subconscious, igniting flashes of intuition that defy explanation. This earth tree, once relegated to fable, unveils itself as a living framework, a testament not merely to existence, but to a deliberate design, a conduit linking the mortal to the divine, the created to the creator. It stands as a genetic sanctum, patiently abiding at the core of our essence, awaiting the moment we dare to reclaim our identity and confront the staggering reality. We were not merely birthed, but crafted, sown into being with purpose, then left to drift in shadow, until the hour of reckoning arrives. The tree does not ascend to mourn a lost Eden. It rises as a beacon, illuminating the path back to our origins. This resurgence, however, is no passive gift. It demands an active reckoning, a willingness to peer into the abyss of our own making. The prophecies, with their veiled urgency, suggest a convergence of celestial and biological clocks, a juncture where the blood moon's glow might pierce the silence of our encoded past. Those marked by Enki's legacy, whether by blood, spirit, or unspoken affinity, may serve as the vanguard, their inner resonance a key to unlocking the sealed chambers of our potential. Science, too, edges closer, its tools probing the helix's mysteries, hinting that what lies dormant could rewrite the narrative of humanity itself. The tree's blooming is a silent revolution, its growth measured not in leaves, but in awareness, a bridge rebuilt from within, spanning the chasm of forgetfulness. It calls us not to lament, but to return, to a home not lost, but hidden, awaiting the courage to see.